Job 13:4. But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. Call halal Yahweh by Shem Shai by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors to the elder bishops, salutations to all my fellow laborers that do this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners among the heathens that look like the heathens. And to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago. And this is a video that I did about about 3.5 years ago called Esau, Your History is False, Black Vikings. And, you know, it got quite a few hits and quite a few scoffers. And you know, when people see information that doesn't please them, they immediately scoff, because in this video, there's another one called Scots, Celts, Irish, Iberians were Israelites. And they're all on the GMS Maccabean Spirit channels. All right. Once again, this video is called Esau, Your History is False, / Black Vikings. And then the other one is called Scots, Celts, Irish, Iberians were Israelites. And the reason I'm doing this video is because I watched the movie Northmen. So this is a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie yet, watch this video after you see the movie, if you intend to see it. It's a pretty good movie, and it dawned on me as I began to watching it, reflecting on history, you know, just how much not only how much of a liar Esau is, but that how he mixes the Wildmen's history, all right, like you see the guy on the left, according to their own science, you know, the dark-colored man, that was your Swede, all right. Now we're talking, and in this movie was made during the 8th century, mid-8th century, and I'm holding on to the book Arthur Koestler, you know, the 13th Tribe, and it actually goes into some history about this time period on I think it's page 114, 113. Yeah, on page 113, and it reads, and because in this movie there were slaves that were taken to Kiev, you know, and the movie's all about vengeance and adultery, murder, and vengeance, which is, and guess what? Those are topics that are heavy in the Bible. All right, because the Bible is about the rise, fall, and then rise again, which comes with vengeance of Israel, of Jacob, about the rise of Jacob, the fall of Jacob, and the rise of Esau being on the right there, all right? And then the rise of Jacob again. That is what the Bible is all about. The kingdom of heaven, all right, that the Christians speak about. The kingdom of heaven is Jacob ruling over all the world, over all the nations, all the universe for that matter. That's why Esau Edom wants to be Jewish, wants to be Jacob so bad. All right? Because the truth of the matter is, the so-called white man, they are indeed Hebrews, but they're the Hebrew Edomites. They're the sons of Esau, not the sons of Jacob. And with their Hollywood, you know, and through their wine, they, matter of fact, let me grab that. They just continue to lie. Let's grab that scripture real quick, and then I'm going to read a little bit from that book, from that Arthur Koestler book. Let's go to that, though. Is it Habakkuk? 2nd chapter. This is Habakkuk 2 and 5. And it says, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto himself all nations, and heapeth unto himself all people. And he usually did that through slavery, all right? Because, you know, Esau was a master slaver, you know, because he lived by the sword. His gift was the sword. And through the sword means that you're taking things that are not yours, and then you're ruling over them. That's what he did. And he used his blessing well, because there's a scene where a bunch of slaves, both men and women, were being taken. You know, they had slaves after an act of adultery and betrayal and murder by a woman. Um, there were slaves that were, you know, that were scattered, and they did it, and they were all the same people, typical of Esau, because you know, these people were constantly warring on themselves. But on page 113, because there's some history about the Vikings in here as well. But it says, and that's what Esau does, because the Vikings were dark complected people. As a matter of fact, they were Israelites. Those wars between the Vikings and the Scots and the Irish and the Brits, that was just gangbanging in during the Dark Ages. And King James came and put an end to that and united the tribes again. That's what the Holy Bible is all about, the good news, the gospel. All right? But it says, I'm going to start at the second paragraph. It says, the period in question extends from the circa 1862, which was around the same time of this movie, The Northmen. All right? And it says, in the Russian occupation of Kiev to the circa 965, the destruction of Ital by Sviatoslav, after the loss of Kiev and retreat of the Magyars into Hungary, former Western dependence of the Khazar Empire, except for parts of Crimea. And see, that's why all that war is going on today, man. That was Khazars lived all through there. Edomites, not Japhetic people. Japhet had been pushed out of his land long time ago, back during the time of Alexander. All right. It says, and the prince of Kiev could without hindrance address the Slavic tribes, Slavic meaning slaves, because Esau, they all were Slavs. Because as they began coming out of the mountains and coming out of the forest, the dark-complected Vikings and people were making slaves out of these Edomites, out of women and men like him. They were the serfs, the farm workers, and the bed wenches and the handmaids to these dark-complected rulers at the time. But Esau likes to mix that history and put his face where the dark guy is. So that's why people are so confused when they hear. Now, and this actual video is from it's from a documentary that came out, a documentary about 3.5 years ago that came out where the scientists, Edomite scientists, white men, brought forth this evidence that the Swedes looked like this guy. They gave him blue eyes though, and I've actually met some dark complected people who had blue eyes, but nevertheless, they were showing you that these were the actual Celts and Swedes, and it's true. And sometimes, you know, when you intermixing Jake with Esau, you can get dark complected people with blue eyes, because I've seen it a couple different times. You know, really dark people with green eyes, or really dark complected people like him with blue eyes. I've seen it. All right. So that can happen, but that's just the truth of the matter that they don't want to admit. And then they get mad. All these changes to history, you know, it's just funny how they keep changing history. No, what's funny is how all the history that you omitted. And so the fact that all this history is coming out, you know, the evidence, what does it say? Matter of fact, and then not only are there books that are written about it going back, you know, hundreds of years, there are also relics that prove it as well. But this is Psalms 85:11. And it reads, truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven. That truth springing out of the earth with all the relics that were dug up or that have been unearthed or that are still around, that shows you the rule of what you refer to as black people in Europe during the Dark Ages, from the time of the fall of Rome all the way up into the Renaissance. Because during the Renaissance is when Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, came back into power. The dragon, Rome, came back into power, right? But going back to this, let's finish this. It says the Khazars may have been willing to acquiesce in the loss of their hegemony in the West, all right? But at the same time, they were also growing encroachment by Rus on the east, down to the Volga and into the regions around the Caspian, the Muslim lands bordering the southern half of the Khazar Sea, Azerbaijan, Jillian, Shawam, Tabastian, Jurjan were tempting targets for the Viking fleets, both as objects of plunder and trading posts for commerce and Muslim caliphate. See, so the Khazars were actually having encounters with the real Vikings. So when Esau shows his movies and his histories, he just shows himself as the Vikings instead of the serfs and the Slavs, meaning slaves, because that's what they were. Right? That's why they came with such vengeance as they were taking back Europe, as they took back Ireland, Scotland,